Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket or you're just happy to see me?
So, good evening, everyone. Welcome. We are back for this month's ones and twos, and the theme this month is green. We're talking animated films, and I'm going to say it's a safe bet that when people think of green when it comes to animated films, they most likely think of the movie we'll be talking about tonight, which kicked off what became essentially a franchise of films, even though it should have ended at a trilogy. But that is Shrek. So Shrek from 2001. I can't believe it's been like 23 years since that movie was released, and it's still that and the second one still hold up. The third one, as much of a dip as the third one takes in terms of like subjectively not the best of the trilogy. It is, in my opinion, better than the fourth installment that we got, Shrek Forever After, because Shrek's character kind of completely deviated from how he is set up in the first film alone. We're going to talk about that. Because basically it's a way of teaching kids not to judge the proverbial book by its cover. In a sense, through a fairy tale lens. So, but before I say hello to the chat and I bring up the movie itself and making sure, I'm going to make sure it's muted. It's not. Orange, let everybody know where they can find you and all that fun stuff.
Well, you could find me on Jay Shadow's channel twice a month and on my channel, well, all month and every day. I am going to be recording 2 videos after our stream tonight so that I can release them, well, either during the night or tomorrow during the day because I will be busy Thursday. More Rachel Zegler stuff. And, yep, I also do, there's no Orange Hat Uncensored Friday. There is the Sunday recap at 8 p.m. Me and Ambassador and guest Demaj and I will be talking Dragon Ball Z, possibly a couple other topics as well. And other than that, the theme stream next week ends out with the madness of Vic Deakins from Broken Arrow.
Okay. So, hiccuping. But anyway, chat. So before I open up the movie so we can go through it, and it might end up being kind of a shortest stream, mainly because now that there isn't enough necessarily to talk about with the movie, we can't exactly go into every detail within the film and the plot. And I'm not saying this is a negative. Sometimes you just want to keep it simple, especially for the first film, and that plot is for this film simple. There is a little bit of a twist, but essentially, it doesn't try to be anything that it's not. And in doing so, but at the same time, in doing so, it actually has a universal age to it. It is not aged at all. Whatever messages is in it that you can see resonate even today and so forth. Shrek. Michael Myers was not actually the first one cast for Shrek. He actually took over for Chris Farley, who had actually recorded most of the dialogue prior to passing away. So, basically, the role went to Mike Myers, another SNL alum, who kind of put his own spin on it, basically speaking in that more of a Scottish accent for the character, kind of make it his own character, and at the same time alluded to Chris Farley, or at least one of Chris Farley's characters within the animation, because at some points when you see Shrek doing air quotes, that's supposed to be an allusion to one of Chris Farley's SNL characters who loved to use a lot of air quotes during the skits. So, and then I think it said in trivia that Eddie Murphy was cast in 1997, and then in mid 1997, and John Lithgow was cast about a few months or so after that in 1997. But according to John Lithgow, none of the principal actors, voice actors, worked directly with each other.
Oh my
And
god.
that's something that like Lithgow like was actually like, you know, like there's negative that he like says about working on the film. It's that because he would have loved to have like bounced off like Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz in the scenes, but basically according to Lithgow, like when he's recording his dialogue, there's someone feeding him the lines, so he can't bounce off the inflection from like Myers or Murphy or anything like that because it's just someone reading off the dialogue, you know, as is and not acting. You wouldn't know it based on like, you know, the voice work in this film, but that's what happened back in 2001. Also, and we're going to talk about Lord Farquaad, there's rumors abound that he's actually inspired in part on a former Disney CEO that was not liked back then, according to rumors. I think it's partly true, but you know, never really substantiated. But at any rate, so from the top, I see Gravy D's is better out than in. I always say, so that's true to an extent. Mike Hill, what is up? The gingerbread man told me to eat him. I'm assuming that's what you meant. I would have without question. Yeah. So, Jaluk, hello. Let's get our green on. Yep. Yeah, I'm not impressed at all. I'm not liking the animation for the fifth one. I'm not going to exactly judge it right now because it's one clip out of the entirety of the movie, and we don't know what's necessarily happening in that clip. It could be a spell that was cast on them. It could be something like went wrong or whatever. I'm not trying to defend that clip or anything like that. I'm just saying that before I go, that's shit, I want to see it in context of like an actual trailer versus just, hey, there's a little bit of a teaser here for the movie. And Steph, I see you. I see what you're going to make me watch on Friday.
Yeah. My thoughts on that animation is the fact that DreamWorks doesn't exist anymore. So
that's true.
Chances are neither does the animation style.
So possibly it's new animators coming in. If they had gotten the original animation team, probably would have, like, even without the studio existing, we probably could have gotten like something closer.
Yeah.
But you have the DreamWorks no longer existing and like, you know, different animators, so it's like
exactly. That's how I see it until I see otherwise.
So Metal Mania all the way. Let's fucking go, Mara. Good to see you all. The wrestling scene played Ronda Rousey's entrance music. I checked out of watching wrestling for like over a decade, so I never watched wrestling when she wrestled, and I'm glad I didn't because everything I've heard was like that she was subpar at best, and I know I'm being nice when I say describe her like that. So I'm glad I didn't. Pale Ghostly Eyes, what is up? Good to see you. Christian Freights, Shrek puts me in a good mood. Like, these are like even the third one. Again, I think the third one is a step down from the first two, but even that, like, you know, you still leave with like, you know, relatively good mood. Essentially, that's where the story should have ended, because okay, I'm gonna have like a little bit of a segue when talking about Shrek. One of the reasons why I don't like Shrek Forever After is because it can make Shrek do a 180 in character development. Because in this movie, he's upset. Like, you know, he doesn't like to admit it, but he's actually upset that people are scared of him. People treat him like a monster. And so because he's been treated like a monster pretty much his entire life, he's shut out the world, which, like, you know, makes it easier. Like, he keeps people out of his swamp. He scares them away from a swamp. And he says at one point to Donkey, I don't have a problem with the world. It's the world that seems to have a problem with me. So he doesn't like the fact that he's treated like a monster. And, like, you know, and when he's basically opening up to Donkey in dialogue. And then he fast forward to Shrek Forever After, and his wish is to be an ogre again for a day. Like, really? That's your like. How like do you do that 180 in character development for that movie? That's like my biggest gripe with that film, and that's why I said you should have stopped at the third one. There really shouldn't even be a fifth one. The third one ended perfectly. It was a trilogy. It was a natural progression in Shrek's story. First meeting and falling in love with the princess, then meeting her parents and getting their approval, basically, and all that, and then their family gets expanded upon. It was a natural progression with this character, and then it just went to all hell and forever after. So, yeah, every time Shrek is on TV, the second one, even the third one if it's on, but every time it's on, I'll sit down and watch it. I think it's from 2001, and it still holds up. Mm-hmm. Hello, Trey. Good to see you. Actually, so you say iconic opening. The Smash Mouth song, All Star, was actually just supposed to be a placeholder song during the test screenings. That wasn't supposed to be the song at the beginning of the movie initially. But test audiences loved it so much during the opening credits. Not only did they keep that song as part of the opening, but they allowed Smash Mouth to perform another song for the end of the movie. That song was not originally supposed to be the opening song. Like, they were just putting it there to say, okay, until we find something better, or until we find something else that we want for the movie, that's what they were going to do. But now I see Gravy's like, I can't imagine another song being there now. Because that's like such an iconic opening after Shrek has not only read that little bit of a fairy tale that we find out is about Princess Fiona later, but then he rips a page out to use his toilet paper, and that's like he's coming out of his outhouse to All Star by Smash Mouth. Well, I believe it. But like I said, he finished most of the dialogue before he passed away. So, motivational speaker Farley was like, I think that's one of his best. My other favorite skits of Chris Farley's, just because of the juxtaposition, was when he was a Chippendale dancer along with Patrick Swayze. See Patrick Swayze, praising Chris Farley, and like a Chippendale dancer. I'm like, I just like laugh every time I see that skit. Mr. Bentham, hello. Jarrell, hello. Good to see you. A lot of them are recorded like that, but then sometimes there will be scenarios where you do record dialogue together. It doesn't have to be like all the dialogue, but it's one of those situations where it's like, it makes it, I think, a little bit you wouldn't know from the dialogue in this movie, but it kind of makes it difficult for the voice actors because they're not bouncing off someone actually with inflection delivering the line.
Except that it actually did a good job, though, even without them bouncing off.
I know what I'm saying. It's like you wouldn't know that that's how they recorded their lines, because they seem like they're just bouncing off each other when they're speaking.
Mm-hmm.
But none of them were together at all during the voice recordings for the dialogue. You couldn't tell, but none of them. They were all separate. Mm-hmm. And I finally get to Steph's. Hello, Steph. We need to review Snow White. This is what it means, Steph. This is what it means, Steph. Here's my PayPal. Donate for alcohol. I'm going to need to be drunk while I watch this movie. And I'm only watching it. This is Captain Sparrow edition.
Yeah. Also, make sure that you donate enough money to make sure she can get a liver transplant afterward.
Pretty much, yeah. Where is it? Yes, I'm gonna just pin this because I am 48
on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, I am watching it, the Captain Sparrow edition, and I'm not watching it sober. That's what I'm going to say to that stuff. But, love you, Chica. I don't know why you hate me, but I love you. And plus, I don't, depending on when it's on the seas, I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch it Friday. I might have to watch it Saturday. So, we'll see. We'll see. I believe you, Gravy. I believe you. Steph just, it's like when she made me watch the Barbie movie. That's how it is. She made me watch the Barbie movie. Yeah. So, love you, girl.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep. We own all of the Shrek films. My family owns, I think, through the third one. Like I said, I had issues with the fourth one, but for me, all the Shrek films ends with the third one. So, Rhonda wasn't very good. That's what I was hearing. So I was like, I'm glad I did not get back into watching wrestling until after she left. Yeah. So, let's see. As far as wrestling scenes, one of the best is Randy Macho Man Savage fighting the Toby. Yeah, I got you for 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime. I can't do Macho Man, but I love that line. I got you for 3 minutes. Not the gumdrop buttons. But making sure I say hello to everyone. If I miss anyone, I do apologize. But so we are at the end of the comments, at least what I've seen so far. So, where are you? Okay. So normally I start on the title screen, basically, but this one opens up. Okay. I love it does that. With this, I know the second, and I just watched the third one recently, and I can't remember how it opens. I don't think it opens with a story. The first one and second one do, like a fairy tale book. It kind of does. I could watch Tale of Terror and then talk about that as if I were reviewing the live action Disney Snow White. So yeah. But this is how the kind of draws you in, because you hear Mike Myers speaking and he's reading from this fairy tale book. There's a princess in a tower guarded by a dragon, has yet to be saved, waiting for true love's kiss. And then it's like, all right, so let me just take the captions off because it might trigger something. And he rips it off. Then you find out why. I love this opening.
I love how the flush actually covers up him, because he's basically saying what a load of shit, but the flush actually creeps up over the shit, or over the word shit.
Yeah.
It's like, what a load of
Yeah. And as I said earlier in the stream, basically, this song was only supposed to be a placeholder. And again, I cannot remember any other song, or I can't think of any other song that would go here. I just can't think of the beginning of Shrek without thinking of All Star. And you basically see a day in the life of Shrek in his swamp, as well as the juxtaposition of the villagers, going to try to capture him. And I love how each way names appear.
Mm-hmm.
Is you see his name in the mud.
Yep.
Eddie Murphy's name here, as you're
wood.
going through Shrek's day, basically. So we're not going to go scene by scene necessarily, but this is this is essentially our introduction to Shrek, and we really get to see him after he encounters Donkey. But what I'm not going to ask how you think Chris Farley would handle it, because we don't know. I think there's a video of his dialogue out there that exists, but I haven't heard it. But what do you think of Myers' performance?
Myers' performance is great. Thing is, I have a interesting talent in which I can actually read in other people's voices if I have heard them enough. Chris Farley, I have actually heard enough to where I could actually impose in my head his voice over Mike Myers. And I'm thinking to myself, it would have been an entirely different movie. But
Yeah.
Mike Myers did a good job with it. I mean, it really matched well.
Hmm. I think, to be honest, like, it's like, again, I haven't heard Chris Farley's dialogue, but I've seen Chris Farley in skits, and I've seen the characters he's played. And it's kind of like, I don't know if many of you in the chat know this, but originally, John Candy was approached to play the role of Louis Tully in Ghostbusters. Like, he was originally approached to play that, but he wanted to do it in like a German accent or something like that. And like, he had these ideas that just did not jive with the intention, basically. I'm going to put full credit on Harold Ramis at this point, basically, because if Dan Aykroyd had his way, we would have gotten a completely different fucking film. But I put full credit on Harold Ramis, basically. So, like, what Candy wanted to do didn't exactly jive with the more serious tone that Ramis wanted for the movie.
Yeah.
John Candy could have worked if he hadn't wanted to add his own little flair to it. Like, he wanted a pair of Schnauzer dogs, things like that. And he wanted like certain things, and like Harold Ramis is like, no, like that won't work. Service situation.
I'm having a hard time picturing Candy as the character that Rick Moranis played. I mean, I can't see him running across a thing and rolling over a damn
I think Rick Moranis worked a lot better. Not just because of what we got in the movie, but based on what I read that Candy wanted to do, I don't think it would have worked.
No, I don't think it would have.
So that's what I'm like, with Chris. So like with Chris Farley, I'm not trying to discredit him necessarily, but all I would really be able to hear is the characters he would be playing in his SNL skits. And I'm not saying that Mike Myers is not exactly like bringing his SNL background to this character necessarily, but Mike Myers is a bit calmer when it comes to delivering lines and things like that. So I think Mike Myers ultimately was the better choice.
Yeah.
Granted, he was brought in because Chris Farley passed away, but at the same time, it's like, as tragic as that was, Myers is the better choice. That's what I would hear in a swamp. Down, boy. I would hear that like motivational speaker, Chris Farley, delivering these lines. It's like if Stallone was a Terminator instead of Schwarzenegger, pretty much. Gotta check out the original version of Shrek from '95. Totally different look and vibe. I believe it. I would see the bus driver and Billy Madison, pretty much. So, and you have like the cast going through, and the villagers planning to capture Shrek, and Shrek's onto them. Like, he hears them, he sees them, and I love how he. Well, let me see. Okay, hold on, I gotta go back. It's like they're walking here. And he's like, okay, like, hey, this again. And does this. So he has fun. He has basically fun with them here. Because one of them says, I love the allusions to other fairy tales in this movie where like one of the villagers says, grind his bones to make your bread. And Shrek's like, that's actually a giant.
That'd be a giant. Yeah.
Yeah. And he has fun with them, basically, like, ogres are far worse. And he goes into like, what ogres would do to them, basically, before one of the villagers basically tries to scare him away with the torch. And all Shrek does is just like lick his fingers and just put the flame out.
Yeah.
There's like Beauty and Beast reference too. Like, there's a lot to other references to other fairy tales, and he screams at them. And when they haven't run away, he's like, this is the part where you run away, sort of situation. Like, go.
It's like, gotta run now.
So, and like he sees, it hasn't paused on it, but the reason why they're there is because there's a wanted poster for fairy tale creatures. And this is where you get, yeah, there it is. Fairy tale creatures, and you see like basically people bring in different fairy tale creatures to get paid. To include the 3 bears, the 7 dwarves, Pinocchio. Peter Pan looks like he's bringing Tinkerbell. Just like basically get paid for her, which is what else? I'm trying to think.
Oh my god.
The gingerbread man, we see him later when he's being tortured, but he hasn't been brought to be sold in this scene. So, but I love like Geppetto. Basically, is like it's like when he says like this little wooden puppet, and Pinocchio's like, I'm not a puppet, I'm a real boy, and his nose grows, and the captain of the guard is like 10 shillings for the possessed toy.
Yeah.
Hey Jo, yeah. That they went a little dark.
3 bears later, you see your Rugman and mom. Oh my god!
I'll show it to you.
I missed it.
Like here's the 3 bears.
Yeah.
The baby bear. It's like this cage is too small, sort of situation. The possessed toy scene.
Yep.
And this is where we meet Donkey.
Got the 3 pigs in the back.
So, yeah. Oh yeah, the 3 pigs. Yeah, Peter Pan is selling Tinkerbell. That's Peter Pan there.
Oh my god. Peter Pan, dude, that's just low, even for you.
So yeah, I think that's a gnome in red, basically. Yeah. So, and we don't know why Donkey's able to talk. There's speculation that he might have been like a former human cursed to be a donkey, things like that. But like, there's no explanation as to like why he can talk. Like he's not exactly a fairy tale creature like the 3 pigs. Like he's not part of any story that people know. Yeah, Jim Cummings voices hold on. He says
the
he
guy
voices
right there with the hat.
Captain of Guards.
Yeah.
So that's Jim. So basically, that's Jim Cummings there.
Oh my god. Wait, Nightcrawler or a different guy from or is it that's whatchamacallit Cummings.
Why did my camera stop? I fucking hate.
She pulled a Shrek, folks. She broke her own camera.
It changed from my webcam to another fucking camera. I don't know. StreamYard has basically been fucking up.
Oh, voice actor Jim Cummings. Gotcha.
Yeah, voice actor like Pooh, Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, I'm
Jim
thinking
Cummings
of the other one.
Yeah, Jim Cummings also did part of the singing voice for Scar's Be Prepared in The Lion King, which is mostly Jeremy Irons, but at some point like Jim Cummings was brought in to finish the song. So basically when you hear the song in The Lion King, that is both Jeremy Irons and Jim Cummings. So yeah. So just
dude does great impersonation work then.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So so basically, Donkey kind of tags along with Shrek because Shrek is scared away the guards. So what do you think of Eddie Murphy has like said that the Shrek films were his best work. So what do you think of Donkey? Well,
I think my name says it all. He is my favorite character. He is the thing that I mean, Shrek may be the titular character, but Donkey is the main character, in my opinion, because this dude just, he is my spirit animal. I mean, when anybody's like, or when everybody asks me my spirit animal, it's like, my spirit animal is an ass named Donkey. Because like, he is a donkey and he is an ass and he is an asshole.
Yeah, but he has main character energy. He's like, I like that boulder.
Oh yeah,
that is a nice boulder. Like he's like, I love when like Shrek even like grabs Donkey's mouth to get him to shut up. The donkey still talking.
Just keeps going.
and then Shrek lets him go, and he finishes what he's saying.
Yeah, it's like, and man, I had some nasty gases eking out of my butt that day. It's like, oh my god, because that's the thing. Before I got onto the YouTube scene, folks, I was Donkey. I was that kind of annoying ass that would just bother you to the point where you just had no choice but to deal with me. I mean,
Oh yeah, when he tells
I'm not proud
Shrek,
of it.
When he finally stands up for himself, that's also a great scene.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love their bit later on. It's like my swamp, your swamp, freaking wall through the swamp.
You
just shut your mouth. It's like, oh damn, dude.
Just shut up and pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Because we'll get to that part, but Donkey starts building a wall through half the swamp, and he's like, it's like, I helped with your princess. I did half the work, I get half the booty. So he's like, just give me that big old rock, the one shaped like your head.
Even though he already got a very big booty that happens to be pink.
Oh, we'll get into that. Yeah, we'll get into. I don't want to think about how he was able to procreate with his.
Please don't. You're already
squeeze.
Making me do it.
His main squeeze becomes his main squeeze. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think like Mike Myers is really good at Shrek, but Eddie Murphy steals every scene he's in.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely love that. It's like, go ahead, little guy, speak. He just shuts up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he's flying away. Hey, I can fly. He can fly. He can fly. He can talk. That's right, fool. Now I'm a flying talking donkey.
Okay. You might have heard of housefly, maybe even a superfly, but you never heard donkey fly.
Donkey fly. Oh shit!
And it boat falls. So, and anybody like I said, he tags along with Shrek, but Shrek makes him stay outside.
In the morning, I'm making waffles.
And Shrek's trying to eat and
the mice.
And all these
oh my god, that is a perfect. That's a perfect pause right there.
Yeah. So the fairy tale creatures have been dumped in Shrek's swamp. Yeah. Give me Shrek. So you have the 3 blind mice on his table. One thinking that his earwax smelled like cheese. Like actually bites Shrek's ear.
Yeah.
Earwax was Candle was a genius. Like the whole writing.
Yes.
The whole writing in this movie, like down to the little details, was just great. I think it's based. Isn't it based on a novel or something like that? It's based on something.
Yeah, it's based on all the grim tales and fairy tales.
Well, no, I'm saying it's like there's a work. Hold on, there's a work where it's hold on. Let me just see.
Just realized Eddie Murphy voiced a dragon.
Adapted from Shrek. It's a book by William Steig. It's a fantasy comedy picture book published in 1990.
Huh.
So yeah, William I knew it was adapted from something.
Okay, so Steig's writing books.
So I don't think most people have heard. It's from 1990. I don't think most people have heard it, but I remember it was adapted from another source, and then adapted to an animated film. So you have the 3 blind mice, you have Snow White and the 7 dwarves, and I love how Shrek is dead broad off the table. The dwarves are where are we supposed to put her? The bed's already taken. So Shrek goes to his bed to find the wolf, and I love how the wolf. I love how the wolf from the first movie to the second to the third one, he's still in the granny costume.
Right?
He's walking around wearing the granny nightgown and bonnet. So
we got a mentally handicapped transgender wolf.
Gender confused wolf, which we'll talk about, that dialogue in the second movie. Yeah. So basically, and then as Shrek is getting rid of all of them in his house. He sees like
I
this.
love-
He comes out to this. All these fairy tale creatures, dwarves, gnomes, witches, looks like wizards. The Papa Bear and the Baby Bear, you see them by themselves. You don't see the Mama Bear there. Pinocchio, the three pigs, and Donkey's like, I didn't invite them. And Pinocchio's like, explaining that no one invited him.
Nobody invited
I
us.
invited them because they were forced to come here. They were evicted from wherever they lived, and they were dumped here by Lord Farquaad.
Yep.
Who, I'm going to skip over this, but basically, and I love the scene where basically they treat Shrek like a hero, and all he cares about is basically just getting them, basically the fuck out of his swamp, essentially.
Yeah.
And so he's going to go to Lord Farquaad and get them out of his swamp and back to where they came from. And they treat it like, it's like he's doing an altruistic thing. And he's like, no. And he has to take Donkey along with him because Donkey knows how to get to Lord Farquaad's castle. No one else will volunteer, but Donkey's like, jumping up. It's again, like Eddie Murphy like steals every scene he's in. Oh, pick me, pick me, pick me.
And I love that thing.
I do.
Yeah. And he's like, when they put the thing over his, they put a shawl over his shoulders, and he's like, you're coming with me.
He huffed and he puffed and he signed the eviction notice. Yes. And then Donkey starts singing, and he's like, what did I tell you about singing? What, can I whistle? No. What, can I hum? All right. And he goes, starts humming on the road again as they're as they're leaving. And this character here is rumored, at least in terms of looks up here, to be based on Michael Eisner.
Oh my God.
So it hasn't exactly been confirmed, so I'm not saying it one way or the other, but knowing how Michael Eisner looked, and the fact that he was not well liked when he was the CEO of Disney, especially by Jeffrey Katzenberger. Basically, it's kind of I guess they were kind of like rivals. That Katzenberger used Eisner's likeness for this character. Also, another inspiration for Lord Farquaad's character was Laurence Olivier's portrayal of Richard III, basically because both characters will do anything to gain, keep, and maintain whatever power they have, basically to rule.
Yeah.
And so basically he's trying to find the other fairy tale creatures. So basically Lord Farquaad, who's probably all of 5 foot. I don't know if they even really go, there's even a way to find out exactly how tall he actually is. But this character, what did you think of Farquaad?
Lithgow played the hell out of him, and I thought he did a good job with it. I mean, this dude is perverted, narcissistic, evil. I mean, he is everything to hate. He is, he's basically Rachel Zegler.
Yeah.
I mean, just gender bent Rachel Zegler and whatnot. But yeah, oh my God, this dude, Lithgow, I have seen him play he was another villain in The Accountant. But oh my God, even that movie, he's slightly villainous, where in this movie, he just gets to go full ham. And he does such a great job with it. Mm-hmm. And how do you just not? It's like, dude.
I'll show you, Dad. I'll show you.
Yikes! Just yikes.
He is, and the scene where he sends Shrek and Donkey to rescue Fiona because he holds he picks Fiona like a dating game, because the magic mirror is well, technically you're not a king.
Yeah, Thelonious.
And no, you're not a king yet. But you can become one. All you have to do is marry a princess, because Farquaad's calling his domain a kingdom, but he's not a king, so you can't exactly call it. You can't call it a kingdom, and that's what the mirror kind of points out to him. And so, like, but you can't become one. All you have to do is marry a princess. So here's your choice of princesses: one Snow White, one Cinderella, and the third Princess Fiona. And Farquaad ends up picking Princess Fiona. And you have do you like Pina Colada song, the Margaret, that song, playing when he picks Princess Fiona. And then doesn't bother to listen to the mirror, because the mirror tries to warn him of a certain thing. But like, I should tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
I love when the mirror is describing Snow White, like, just because she lives with seven men does not mean she's easy or something like that.
Yeah. She may live with 7 guys, but she is in no way easy.
Yeah, so like Snow White, because basically it says, just kiss her frozen dead lips and see what a live wire she is, basically. So it's like he's like going through this like a dating scenario, like a dating game show scenario. And Farquaad, obviously ultimately picks Princess Fiona. And this I love when you see, because he's gonna hold a tournament. This here, the little allusions to. I didn't mean to hit that. Come on. Where it says you're parked in.
Yeah. Lancelot. Yeah.
Lancelot. Some lines caught me off guard. There's like a lot of lines in here where it's like you watch it as a kid, you don't really grasp what the joke is. Like, say the joke here in this scene. Do you think he's compensating for something? Because he's like looking at how tall Farquaad has built his abode, his quote unquote kingdom. And as like a little kid, you're not exactly getting that. And then as an adult, you're like, oh, okay. I get it. Oh yeah, the onions have layers. Dialogue is classic as well.
Yeah.
There was a reel I saw on Instagram where it's this clip here. After Shrek and Donkey have listened to that little greeting device for Duloc. That's the location where Lord Farquaad lives. And it was like it's like Shrek is my family and Donkey is me sort of situation. Like that was like the real works. And it's like, when we finished watching a marathon of the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, and Donkey's like, it's like, let's do that again. And the family's like, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, oh yes, I love, I wish I could play it. I wish I could play it without getting fucking hit. But like, it's like where you think they're going to say wipe your ass, and then they turn around and say face. I remember my dad howling at that.
Oh yeah. My aunt and I watched this together. I think it was for the first time. And she just lost it. She's like, oh my God, that's so freaking hilarious.
Yeah. So basically, like the fast forward, essentially, Shrek wins the tournament. And I love how they do it like through inadvertently through a wrestling thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear like a woman in the audience like, the chair, give him a chair. So Shrek wins. Yeah. He takes out all the knights. And when basically Farquaad is like, figures. Well, Farquaad is like, this scene's actually supposed to be an allusion to the Wizard of Oz in a way where it's, how like basically Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Lion are before the wizard, and they like want him to help them, but he tells him, before I help you, you have to do this sort of situation, like that scenario. This is supposed to be an allusion to that. The difference is, while Farquaad was hoping Shrek would die on his quest to go rescue the princess, he figured I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. He'll either die going to rescue the princess, or in the process of rescuing the princess, and I'll be rid of him, or I'll get the princess and I'll marry her and I'll be a king So while his motives aren't pure, unlike the wizard in the Wizard of Oz, he is actually honest when he says, okay, if you do this for me and you come back, I will clear out your swamp. Which, to his credit, Farquaad is, he's an ass. He's a villain. But to his credit, he actually does what he tells Shrek he will do if you bring the princess back.
Yeah.
So basically, like his motives are purely, I will kill two birds with one stone in this scenario. Basically, I'll either be rid of him and not have to deal with it, and it's like just move on with my life, or he'll come back with the princess, and I'll become a king. So win-win for Farquaad's mind at this point. Yeah. And he did sign the deed. And he removed the fairy tale creatures at the end.
Yeah. So he keeps his word. He's just an asshole about it.
Yeah, I'm saying it's like to like basically to his credits, and like this is like I love that ogres are like onions. It's like layers. Ogres have layers. Onions have layers. You get it. We both have layers. And Donkey's like, oh, you both have layers. Not everybody likes onions. Cake. Yeah. Everybody loves cake. Cakes have layers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even when Shrek yells at Donkey, like Donkey just continues the conversation because he's like, parfaits. Parfaits have layers too. And like parfaits are some of the best desserts on the whole damn planet.
He's like, oh my god. He then goes off on an insult string and then finishes with a beast of burden, and it's like,
yeah,
ogres are
not like cakes.
Yeah.
Parfaits from one of the best desserts on the whole damn planet. And like it just like nothing happens. Like that's what else I love about Donkey is that he doesn't let anything faze him.
No. I mean he does, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
He puts on the brave front. For Soul Assassin, a parfait is basically yogurt with something mixed in, and then you put you can mix in some granola. Great shit. Fruit parfaits are my favorite.
Yeah, he never gets angry. Like you could tell it affects him, but he never lets it get to him.
Yeah.
Until the end, when he finally has to let it out on Shrek.
Yep. And I love how when they get to the castle too. It's like they're on the frickin' bridge. Shrek, I'm looking down.
Yeah. I look like I gotta come on, get to the. It's like I gotta admit something, and like Donkey sees the skeletal remains of a horse. She's like, donkeys don't have layers. We wear our emotions on our sleeves. Like donkeys don't have sleeves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, don't tell me you're afraid of heights. No, I just don't know how I feel about crossing an old rickety bridge over boiling like a lava.
Yeah. And I don't know if anybody caught the allusion to Babe, the movie Babe.
Oh yeah,
that'll dialogue.
Do, Donkey. Yeah,
that'll do, Donkey. That'll do.
Yeah.
Because that's how Shrek gets Donkey to cross, basically by making him panic and back up over the bridge, like by scaring him, and Donkey realizes that's what Shrek was doing the whole time. Basically, like he was getting him across. He was taking his mind off being on the bridge by getting him to back up.
Yeah. Okay. So do it. Right. Got it.
Yes. So where's this fiery pain in the neck supposed to be anyway?
Yeah.
In the tower, waiting for us to rescue her. I meant the dragon.
I love that look that you got frozen on Shrek right there.
Yeah. But here, speaking of dragon, like where is the dragon? Donkey
Godzilla 98 moment there.
Yeah.
A lot of people give that movie shit. It's a good kaiju film. It's just not a good Godzilla film.
Yeah, I don't mind it as a giant monster film. It's just not. That's not Godzilla.
Yeah.
So this is we are countering the dragon that is basically guarding this princess. Semi-guarding the princess, more or less just keeping people out. Right. So basically, just you have to get past the dragon to get to the princess.
I once heard a theory that the dragon was actually Fiona's lady in waiting that also got cursed, but not with the same curse. It was more of a permanent kind of curse. And I'm like, it would make sense slightly.
Slightly.
Yeah.
But then, like, at the same time, it's like, why would she keep knights from rescuing the princess? That's the word doesn't make any sense, because she'd want her princess to be rescued.
Well, she's pissed off because she got the permanent curse and Fiona only got the night.
The only way, well, I can see that, but the only way I could see her, like, like doing this would be like, if she sensed that whomever was coming to rescue her wasn't right for her.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're a douchebag. No, you're gonna get eaten. Sort of situation.
Okay, time to basically test your mettle.
Yeah,
are you good enough for my princess?
Yeah. So it's like that's the only way that would make sense if she's testing them. But at the same time, it's like it's one of those where it makes sense and it doesn't, because you have to kind of like stretch it a little bit to make it make sense. But then we find out the dragon is a girl dragon, and she's loving the compliments Donkey's giving her.
To the point where she develops a furry kink.
Yes, I'm like. So I know that this, and I'm like, I remember when I was first watching this, I'm like, I know that this is all about stretching the imagination, basically like suspending disbelief.
But that's ridiculous.
It's funny as fuck.
It's hilarious. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, I'm having a hard time believing that a donkey could get it on with a dragon and have kids.
Yeah, this is... Dragon, of course you're a girl dragon. I mean, just reeking of feminine beauty. And then she blows a heart-shaped smoke ring over him, basically. So, anyway, Shrek, in fighting the dragon, gets thrown through the window or wall of the tallest tower, and that's where we meet. Well, I'm trying to get like a. Fiona. I have to save my ass. What kind of a knight are you? So this is Cameron. This is basically our introduction to Princess Fiona, voiced by Cameron Diaz. And she's asking him things like, don't you want to perform like a poem, a sonnet, a limerick?
A limerick.
Which, if you know what a limerick is, chats, that's something that you would actually quote to someone romantically.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be romantic.
Isn't it like a dirty line?
It is a full-on fucking innuendo dirty.
Yeah. It's a dirty line.
Yeah. So like she's saying this, and when she said that, even when I was younger, I laughed at that line because I knew what a limerick was.
Yeah, it's like, you're that freaking horny?
Yes. I'm like it's been that long. It's been that long, and like Shrek's saying like, you've had a lot of time to plan this. Yeah. And she's like you're supposed to carry me off. I can't be basically on
your noble steed.
Yeah, down on your valiant steed. You've had a lot of time to plan
this, haven't you? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, keep planning. We got some shit to do.
Yeah, like, you're supposed to ride in banner flying. That's what all the other knights did. Yeah, before they burst into flames, and you see like the outline.
That's not yeah. And she's like, "That's not the point." It's like, really? Really? That's not the point.
And there's like a point in the trivia where they said like this kind of indicates that she probably could have rescued herself before now because she knows where the exit is.
Mm-hmm.
And probably could have left, but at the same time, and we'll get into this, there is a reason why she had to stay. Yeah. Even if she could leave, there is a reason why she had to stay. And it has to do with the fact that she's also under a curse.
Yeah. And there's also, I mean, that door was not, or she could have easily busted out of that door at any time.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's like, even Shrek had to give it a few nudges first.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm willing to bet she could have in her ogre.
And she's like, the ice is that way. Why aren't we going that way? Like, basically, why aren't we going that way? It's like, well, I have to save my ass.
Yeah, I love it.
So he goes to rescue.
What
kind of knight are you? One of a kind.
One of a kind.
Yes. So long story short, they make it out of the castle, pissing off Dragon in the process, because Dragon, while going to kiss Donkey, ends up kissing Shrek's ass. So not the ass she wanted to kiss, basically. So like they get out of the castle, and
I mean, there's an ass kisser joke in there on 2 levels. I'm just not going to say it.
Yeah. So Shrek finally, reveals the fact that he is an ogre.
It's like, oh shit! I love that.
I love like her character basically is like, she starts out nice, like, take it off, please take it off, and then just like now
all pretense drop.
Yes, like that is the actual Fiona, like not that she's a Karen or anything like that, but like that is the strong princess coming through basically, because up to this point she is basically I would equate this to her character, like she's acting how society expects her to act as a princess. When she yells and her headstrong nature comes out, that's actual Fiona.
She's a redhead. What do you?
I'm saying so that little hole where she gets to that point where she yells, it's not her being like, a bitch or anything like that.
No.
She's basically just done away with how the world expects her to act.
Yeah, I love how she comes or how they come across Robin Hood and his merry men.
Oh God. Another Robin Hood is French. One of the most British legendary characters in lore, because he's like, English. He's given a French accent.
Well, yeah, he's also a horny Frenchman.
No, so it's like, but it's funny.
Which is also a stereotype.
Yeah. So.
But is it one that the French embrace?
So Shrek reveals that he is an ogre, so he's not the knight that she would be expecting.
How could he hear with his ears compressed like that?
I don't know.
Does make one wonder.
Just the Irish in her, yeah. So basically, and we find out later on that she is also a capable fighter.
Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, fuck, he's what I turn into at night. Well,
there's the curse, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, I'm pretty sure if you have not watched the movie by now, I'd be like,
folks, this movie is over 20 years old. If you haven't seen it, that's your fault. I'm sorry.
So, but basically, the curse that this is why, like, when I read the trivia, I was like, yeah, technically she could have rescued herself, but the reason why she stays because, well, she's under a curse, and the curse is at night she turns into an ogre.
Yeah, but it also does explain why she is susceptible to falling in love with him.
So true. So, but at the same time, it's like, that's why I said when I read that trivia, it was like, then she'd still be cursed, because the reason why is her true love is supposed to rescue her and break her free from the curse, which is why she stayed. Which is why she had to leave when she could.
It's like, I could have busted out any frickin' time. I just wanted a romantic angle.
Yeah, so, but her true love just happens to be an ogre.
Yep.
And I love when she's like refusing to leave, basically. Yeah. And he's like, I'm not a messenger boy. I'm a delivery boy.
It's like
fireman carries her.
I ain't no messenger boy. I'm a delivery boy. He just fucking hauls her up.
Like throws her over his shoulder, and like fireman carries her. Basically, it's like starts carrying her, and she's throwing a tantrum, and then like it cuts to basically it's like sometime later, and she's given up, and she's just accepted her fate that she's carried from here to like Duloc.
And Donkey's asking her for love advice.
Yes.
Like, how would she know? Exactly. I mean, you are pretty much asking a virgin love advice about dropping somebody that, well,
Well, it kind of like it kind of like like goes into like how she like answers him basically because she's coming from a fairy tale perspective. Like it's just not your true love sort of situation, not a realistic one. So she doesn't have that worldly knowledge, shall we say?
Yeah.
She's from full on basically like whatever fantasies and daydreams she's had, and how people are supposed to act. So, but what did you think of Cameron Diaz, like Princess Fiona, basically? So it's like the upended portrayal, essentially, of what we think of a princess in fairy tales.
The first half of her performances in the movie, I honestly, it's like some of the lines are delivered a little bit weakly, like not in voice tone or anything, but actually voice quality. It's like, yeah, she could have delivered them in a little bit different of a way, so to speak. But as the movie progresses, she actually does come into her own. Excuse me. I'm guessing it's because of the way that they recorded, not with other people in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard or Cameron Diaz comes across as somebody who's not as well or she needs somebody to voice off of,
She needs someone to bounce off, like who's actually delivering the lines.
To bounce off, yeah.
It's basically like the way, I'm not trying to profess that I know I'm an expert in acting, basically, but typically the inflection of the person you are reading lines with tells you how you deliver your lines. So, like an exclamation point on a sheet of paper in a sentence can either be anger, it can be surprise, it can be excitement, it can be a multitude of like different emotions just with one punctuation mark at the end of a sentence. You don't know exactly how you should be delivering that line until you have you hear how the other person delivers the line, and that tells you, okay, I had to be angry when I say this, or I have to be surprised when I say this. Sort of situation. So basically, when you have someone just like reading off blah 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 blah, like in a monotone, basically just like saying the words but not actually speaking the lines.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to figure out how you should say it. But at the same time, I kind of read that also is that she's finally coming into her own as the movie progresses. So when she becomes more comfortable with Shrek, with Donkey, and she's letting her guard down, essentially, then it's like I can that's the real Fiona coming through, and the way she delivers dialogue and everything. Because up to that point, she is her whole worldview stems from whatever fairy tales she's read, whatever daydreams she's had. She does not have the actual practical viewpoint of actually living in the world. But her traveling with Shrek and Donkey is giving her that perspective.
Yep.
So it's like now she's kind of like that little facade she's built around her, not out of protection, but more like because of how she was brought up,
her ignorance
and everything, and her ignorance is dropping, and she's now becoming, I don't want to say smarter, but like a bit more worldly.
Yeah.
So, and as a result, basically, that is actually Fiona coming through.
Yeah.
So, and she does get better in the sequels. She does get better.
Yeah, she does.
In the sequels. So, like I said, it's the first movie, so I don't judge too hard in the voice acting typically, because sometimes it's Cameron Diaz, for example, is not really a voice actress. All right, she's an actress, but she's not really a voice actress. So,
yeah,
it's getting the feel for that. And then once she gets the feel for it in the first movie, well, then she knows what to expect. She has an idea of line delivery and things like that. And once she gets to the second movie, she's better. And not only is she better, but she's come into her actual own.
Yeah,
like that is Fiona.
Soul Assassin, pretty much, or I'm pretty sure they would react just the way Lord Farquaad does.
Mm-hmm. We don't know exactly when she was placed into the castle. So you'd have to think, one, that she would have had at least some education prior to being placed into the castle. And two, well, this is also a medieval time, and, well, women weren't exactly educated anyway.
Oof.
So, I'm just saying. Like they weren't exactly educated.
Yeah.
So
A knight seller to a wizard.
yeah, so I'm just saying. I'm just saying to ask that question. I'd be like, well, we don't know exactly when she was placed into the castle, or how long she's been there, and two, well, once women got to a certain age, they pretty much became baby makers. So,
Yep.
like, so I'm just putting a humorous spin on history, basically, and I'm a woman saying this. I don't give a shit. Basically, I'm not gonna basically decry history because I don't like the fact that women weren't educated back then. It was it was a way of life back then. What am I gonna do? What exactly am I going to do? All the ranting and raving from feminazis nowadays is not going to change one damn bit of history.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, and these are basically the four primary characters in the entire movie. Like, there are other characters in this film, basically, but the focus is Shrek, Donkey, Fiona, and Farquaad. So, but since you brought up Robin Hood, oh, here's the scene.
Yeah.
On. See that? Down at the bottom of the screen. He popped up. Before I'll move on, chat, but I want to see like if he sees. Which, if you weren't looking, you probably would have missed it. But see that at the bottom of the screen? With the bow
That little
on?
lump. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. He fucking straight up murdered the ma.
Yeah.
That's fucking evil.
It's not bright, but see that is.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's just fuck.
Yeah, so. Oh yeah, look at the Snow White costume there. Because they really made Snow White in live action look like Lord Farquaad. Like that portrait there. And then it just scrolls down like, oh shit. And he's playing basically the Fiona thing from the mirror, basically, over and over again. And so, what do you think? What did you think of Robin? This is again, he's not a main character, but what did you think of the scene with Robin Hood and his merry men?
It was a very funny distraction, so to speak. I mean, she just can't handle, or this dude is there, folks. There are people out there who are so annoying that there's a reason why you wake up and choose violence. Let's just say that. Mm-hmm. He is the kind of person you wake up and choose violence for because he's that annoying. And I gotta say that bit there was so, it's like, oh, thank God that person was shut up.
Yeah. I think you mean Errol Flynn, not Errol Flint.
Flint.
Errol, Errol Flynn, Flynn, basically. Even then, I could kind of see that. I could kind of see a little bit of Errol Flynn in this, but I can also see what traces like Men in Tights, like a combination of Errol Flynn's Robin Hood and Men in Tights. And he starts singing. You have Friar Tuck on the accordion.
Yeah.
Or like it's not exactly an accordion, but what's that little smaller one? That's like a specific name to it.
Oh,
but the merry men started dancing, and then finally, it's like you said, basically, where some people are just so annoying that they're the reason you wake up and choose violence. It's when Fiona punches him. It's like exactly how she is like, God, that was annoying. It's exactly how you would react to these people. And then you have the Matrix illusion. Well, let me see if I can get a shot of it.
I think it's called a concertina or a squeeze box.
Yeah, it's like, because it wasn't exactly an accordion, it looked smaller. I was like, I knew it had like a name.
Yeah.
And she's like fighting all of them. And here, boom.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that shot. And she has time to fix her hair. Like,
yeah.
Like the bangs out of the way and then just kicks both of them. Yes. Okay, it might be an
Well,
accordion.
that
'Cause it's a
is,
little bit
yeah,
thicker.
that's an
Yeah.
accordion. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
big enough to be one.
Okay. So, and then she punch. I love how she punches fire tugs through the accordion.
Yeah.
Matrix spoof never gets old. Well, again, we kind of get two plausible explanations that kind of tie together. Basically, one, she kind of indicates that like if she's by herself, she has a lot of time to kind of self-taught. All right, and two, the third one. All right, the third one basically has her mother saying, "You didn't think you got all your fighting skills from your father, did you?"
Yeah, right.
So, granted, yes. Granted, yes, like you don't get that in this movie because she is by herself. But again, I say there's a plausibility where it's like we don't exactly know how long she's been in this castle, that she's like had this curse for a while, and it got to a point where the family basically like it's like like we're at their wits' end, and like just I'm gonna put you like we're gonna put you here, and like basically hope the curse is broken, basically. Assumed as ogre strength. Well, it kind of could also be partly because of the curse she's under, where she turns into an ogre, and she's able to, and probably is able to fight that way a little bit. But again, we don't know exactly how long she's been in the castle. So for all we know, she was taught as a kid by her mother before going to the castle. So basically, whatever moves she taught herself will probably teach what she learned from growing up, and just basically just maintained that. So I'm just saying that there's at least a plausible explanation, unlike the Mary Sue's characters in current fiction.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we see. So like we see like a little bit, like there's like at least a plausibility to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that basically is that their travels progress. Fiona and Shrek are falling more and more in love.
And Donkey's kind of getting pushed out a little bit.
And through the travels, we didn't talk about this, but like through the travels, when it gets to night, she refuses to go any further, and the reason why is because that's when she turns into an ogre. Once the sun goes down, she turns into an ogre, and once the sun comes back up, she's back to being her human form.
Yeah.
And to the point where like they actually get to where they see Duloc in the distance, and even like Fiona, like still like at this point she's delaying it because again she's falling in love with Shrek. They're falling in love with each other.
Yeah.
So and she conveniently, basically not conveniently, but because the sun is going down, well, she goes like she basically goes off to be by herself. And that's when we discover.
Here's a question. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, the hints are all there that this woman is more ogre than she is princess, because when she takes the spider and the spider web and basically turns it into a chicken drumstick for Shrek.
I liken it to more like cotton candy. I liken it to more of cotton candy, but yeah.
Yeah, that too. She actually licks her fingers clean.
Yeah.
And she also grabs a freaking snake, basically with its fangs out, fucking blows it up like a goddamn balloon. This woman is not a princess. I mean, she is a princess, but she ain't a princess. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's more geared for Shrek.
Yeah, and that's again like yeah. So that's what she's discovering, basically.
Yeah.
Like this is like the Shrek, ironically, is her true love.
Yeah.
And then Donkey finds out because he goes in to check on her. He finds out about the curse, and I love how his reaction is because he thinks like he doesn't see Fiona. He sees an ogre, and he's like, and she's like, it's me inside this body, and he's like, oh my god, you ate the princess. That was his reaction.
Yeah.
So and she makes him keep it a secret, basically, which is like he does not like keeping it a secret from Shrek.
Nope. So you should tell him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason you can't in this case.
So, but like out of respect for Fiona, he like Shrek is not there. So like even if Shrek were there, I don't think Donkey would have said anything. But Shrek's not there, so Donkey goes to sleep. It doesn't say anything. Yeah, and Shrek overhears their conversation because she's mentioning a hideous, ugly beast. So Shrek is like he assumes she's talking about him because he doesn't see her. Which is like what I like about this movie, basically, because it like has that where it's like it's believable that Shrek would think this. So because he's thinking Fiona is talking about him, he goes to get Lord Farquaad. And because he arrives too late, he does not see her in ogre form. She turns back to a human because the sun is coming up. And I love this part. He comes up. I love how Lord Farquaad is like, coming. He's riding on a horse. He comes over and he greets Fiona. And she's like, starts speaking to him. And
yeah, he has the legging or the leg thingies.
Yeah, so I want to like
as well as the arm thingies.
Yeah, so
or fucking extensions.
right there.
It's like, are you serious? Yeah. I'm sorry. I can't look at this dude and not see Rachel Zegler Snow White.
I know. So basically, his arms come out, and like this. I'd say it's just saying a short farewell, and you get like the size difference.
Yeah, her face says it all.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck did I sign on for?
And she basically, like, gets them to marry that before the sun goes down because she wants to do the kiss, essentially, before she turns into an ogre again. I love how, like he's so short. I go to the point where it's like, I love the following scenes where you see, like, basically back and forth between Fiona and Shrek. And how they're like Shrek's back in his swamp, and he's miserable because he's alone. Fiona's not with them, and Fiona's miserable because she's not with Shrek, and she's standing before the cake.
Yeah, and I love that she just
boom. And
sorry,
I
believe in accuracy.
And Shrek has abandoned Donkey because he thinks Donkey's betrayed him.
Yeah,
they like basically. So it's like,
I gotta say that version of that
Mm-hmm.
rendition of Hallelujah is actually one of the best I've heard.
Yeah. So, and Donkey's encounters Dragon again.
Yeah.
And decides to confront Shrek.
Yeah. All he needed was a little bit of love, and then he grew a spine.
Pretty much. But at the same time, it's like, at the same time, it's, I love this scene between Donkey and Shrek because at one point when they're yelling at each other, even though Donkey's yelling this line, he says, that's what friends do. They forgive each other. You did all this to me, but you're my friend, and I forgive you. In so many words, like, I forgive you. That's why I came back.
Yep.
Sort of situation. And like, basically, like, throws the whole onion layers back in Shrek's face. Like, you're so wrapped up. He's basically saying you're so wrapped up in your own life, like your own life, that you don't see like everything else around you.
Yep. He also tells him to let Fiona go. Well, yeah. That's because it's, different circumstances then.
Mm-hmm. Most annoying yet base character in the films, yeah. So, and basically ultimately they make up because he's like, Donkey's like, when Shrek tells him what he heard, Donkey's like, she wasn't talking about you.
Well, what's she talking about?
He's like,
shit.
Like, why are you asking me for? Why don't you go ask her? Basically,
Yeah.
And then like that's when it like again dawns on Shrek, like the wedding's happening. So Donkey just whistles. I love how Donkey just whistles and Dragon takes him, flies him from the swamp to do lock. And like Donkey's like, that must be my animal magnetism. Let you, yeah. I'll let you do the measuring when we get there. Basically, those like basically those like Lord Farquaad are in short supply. There are those who think little of him. I love like basically the short jokes.
Yeah.
And this when Dragon burps at the end of the movie, I think that's the music editor providing that sound effect for Dragon. We just let's see. The film's music editor provided the sound of Dragon burping after she eats Farquaad at the end. He didn't go back to get the dragon. He didn't go get the dragon. He saw her. Like she had somehow broken her chains free and was drinking or crying by the lake or river or wherever Donkey saw her, basically. So like, he didn't go back to get her. She had escaped the castle because at that point, why basically why would she stay there? Because she's no longer guarding any princess. And this is where he sees her. See, because he goes like he's walking away. So basically, she's made it to Shrek's domain, as far as she's made it to the swamp.
Yeah. I gotta say, it's an interesting love story because the second he goes up to her or that woman was just so fucking broken, and then it's like just that little, or just seeing him again, just lit her whole world up again.
Yeah,
that's love, folks. That's
she sees
love.
him, and then she smiles. You don't even hear dialogue. You don't need dialogue.
You don't need dialogue.
Yeah, which I would appreciate. Basically, like you don't need to hear what Donkey's saying to her or anything like that. You just like see the look on her face. Yeah, like I said, Donkey realizes that he actually also loves her. So it's like it's a fucking weird ass love story, but they love each other. And so she flies them to Duloc, where they stop the wedding. I didn't read through the entirety of the trivia, but this scene here reminds me right out of Princess Bride. Not so much in how the priest sounds, but how slow he is.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the Princess Bride, that scene was an inspiration for this or not necessarily, but that's what I thought of when I saw this. Like that's the slowness is like full on Princess Bride, and she's like wanting him to skip to the man and wife portion, so that way because she can kiss the Farquaad before the sun goes down. And Shrek admits his feelings for her, and this is where we see the actual spell happen, because we don't see what it looks like earlier. We see a glimpse of it at the beginning early on. We see her as an ogre when Donkey finds her, and now we see what it actually looks like when she transforms.
Yeah.
And again, so I think this is true Fiona coming through.
Yeah.
Chicks love that romantic crap.
Yeah, right.
You.
It's like,
I love. Yes.
Yeah.
Because Donkey's like telling him how for Shrek how to handle it basically, and that's like
you want to hold her, yeah, please, yeah. Then you got to try a little tenderness. It's like I love that, man.
Crap.
Yeah. They already said it. Oh,
And
fuck, I'm going
Farquaad
in.
tries to make this binding, even though they did not exactly officially kiss or anything like that, to make it
Yeah.
the binding essentially. He tries to make it so, and imprison her, kill Shrek. And I love when Dragon breaks through
Yeah.
the glass.
It's like, oh, this dude gotta die. I'm
Yeah.
a donkey on the edge.
Comes through. And although like you actually see Farquaad get eaten. Like this is like a kid's animated movie, and like you actually see Lord like Farquaad get eaten. And then the burp, like I said, the burp was actually provided by the film's music editor. So that burp. So I don't know why they needed to get the music editor to do it, but maybe he was like yeah, no cutaway. They actually show it. They actually show in one gulp she eats Farquaad. And then burps up his crown.
He's a freaking appetizer. You really don't need to chew.
I know what I'm saying. It's like but yeah, but there's no cutaway where it's like you see her go down, and normally like in anime movies they cut away basically, so you don't see what's happening, but they actually show it.
Yeah.
And then like Donkey's like I'm a donkey. Like I got a dragon. I know how to use her.
Yeah.
And basically Shrek and Fiona kiss, and
they do the whole Beauty and the Beast thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so great.
So
Gravy D had a great limerick, so to speak, earlier today, or earlier in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna pop her onion.
And it's like she's goes through that, the illusion of Beauty and the Beast, and she's still an ogre.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's because your true love is an ogre, which means that you're going to take the form of your true love. So she's gonna be an ogre. And I love how she says, "I'm supposed to be beautiful," because she's like wondering what happens. But she accepts it immediately when Shrek tells her, like, "You are beautiful." Like she doesn't like cry or anything like that because she's now accepted. This is who she is. And then you get another Smash Mouth song, or a version of a song, basically Smash Mouth version of a song.
I like the Monkeys version better. Sorry.
Yeah. So, but it's saying that they were brought in to do the end song, and basically Shrek and Fiona marry.
Yeah.
I love how Dragon catches the.
Oh yeah, the bouquet.
Yeah. You see Snow White and Cinderella fighting. And then Dragon catches
one of them
bouquet.
bitch slaps the other.
Yes.
I mean, one of them actually bitch slaps the other.
Yeah.
That is freaking hilarious.
So. But anyway, Chad, that is Shrek, ladies and gentlemen. That is Shrek. If if you've not seen it and you didn't mind the spoilers, go and watch it because it is worth watching. It is one of the best animated films. It still holds up. You have jokes in there, like you have humor in there for kids, you have humor in there for adults. So it's enjoyed by everyone. And then we'll be talking the sequel, at least Shrek 2, next week, where, as I said, it's a natural progression in Shrek's story, because now he's met and fallen in love with Fiona. All right, so he's married. Basically, he's married, and he's also basically opened himself up basically to actually having friends, and you see that basically those in his swamp essentially. So he's now no longer cut the world off.
Yep.
So the second one, it's the meet the parents scenario, which, like I said, is like, what would you expect to naturally happen in this situation? Because he's married a princess. So what would be the natural progression in the story but to meet her parents?
And it works so freaking great in that movie.
And the third one also works because, again, I'm going to, not exactly going to talk about the third one, but the natural progression in Shrek's life is to be a father. He's a husband. He's a husband because of husband in the first one, a son-in-law, son-in-law, accepted by the family in the second one, essentially. And the third one, a father.
Yeah.
So 1 or 2, which do you prefer?
Don't ask me that right now. I can't freaking think that much.
I'll give the answer next week, because right now I'm
Yeah.
leaning 1. Right now I'm leaning 1. I very much
because we
enjoy the
just
second
watched
one.
it.
I very much enjoy the second one, but right now I'm leaning 1.
Yeah.
In terms of like what I love about the second one primarily is the addition of Puss in Boots.
Oh yeah.
That was my favorite part. My favorite addition in the second one,
Yeah.
when we meet Puss in Boots.
Well, there's my room.
So yeah. But right
And-
now I'm leaning the first one. It's not because I just recently rewatched. I recently watched both the first and the second one. It's not because I recently rewatched. It's because I slightly enjoy the first one more. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
The second one is a very solid sequel.
Yeah.
Is a very solid sequel. Then the third one dips.
Yeah.
The fourth one plummets. Now the fifth one, I have no
Fifth
idea what
one's
the fuck they're doing
meteor.
with the fifth one. The fifth one, I have no idea.
Fifth
what
one's
the
a
fuck they're doing
meteor.
with that.
Let's just
like-
say.
So that's going to be like the meteor-sized crater for the franchise, basically. With the fifth one, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'm not really happy that Zendaya is in fucking everything now, and she's going to be the voice of his daughter. Oh, I saw Last Wish.
Who's the voices of the two sons? Because I believe there's like 3 kids.
Yeah, they have 3 kids. They have 2 sons and one daughter. The daughter's name is Felicia, and the sons' names are Farkle and Fergus. So I have not seen anything like who's voicing the sons, but he has 2 sons and 1 daughter. The second one also has the greatest. I'm saying it's just slightly. The first one just edges it, but the second one has like cop spoof, Puss in Boots, the fairy godmother. There's a lot going for it. There's a lot going for it as far as plot. And the Last Wish, like I said, I love Last Wish. Absolutely love Last Wish. I think that's where the franchise as a whole should have ended. Even if we saw Puss in Boots making his way to Far, Far Away, just end it there. We do not need to see any continuation. We can figure it out. We can use our imagination, like where he goes from there, basically. But that is Shrek from 2001, and then I think the second one came out in 2004. So, and that's Shrek 2, where we meet the in-laws, voiced by John Cleese and Julie Andrews, the fairy godmother, voiced by Jennifer Saunders, whom I love. Primarily from Absolutely Fabulous, and if you've not watched that show, it's a British comedy series. I love Ab Fab, and she's in it. She plays a character called Edwina, I believe is her name. But she's fucking funny in that series. She also did. I don't know if you've she did a spoof of one of those like haunting shows, and I can't remember what the actual title was for the show itself that she spoofed along with Dawn French. But the spoof skit that they did, they called it Hopefully Haunted or something like that. And they were spoofing like an actual show.
All right.
Yeah, I can't remember. Like it was like a one-off type of skit. I'd have to try to find it. I'd have to try to find it. But like that, I laughed my ass off because I knew what they were spoofing. And if you don't know the show, you might not get the humor.
Yeah.
But anyway, but there it is. The addition of Prince Charming, fairy godmother, the parents, Puss in Boots, one of the ugly stepsisters is in this. So yeah.
Yeah.
New characters to talk about when we talk about Shrek 2. But before I say my outro, Warren Chat. I'm so tired. Warren Chat, let everybody know where they can find you and all that fun stuff.
I mean, I was just about to try to do a Stieg impression, but I can't. I'm just not that Viking.
Yeah.
You can find me on my channel. I do videos. I'm gonna release 2 videos tomorrow. I'll record them tonight. No uncensored on Friday. No, or Sunday night, 8 p.m. I am going to be on with the Majnai and Ambassador for the weekly recap. Let's see here. Tuesday is Return of the Singles again, and as well as the finishing of the theme streams for March. I will give an update on theme streams for April when I'm able, folks, because I might only be able to do 2 for the theme streams in April. I do not know any further than that. But other than that, trying to get to 2,000 subs, so that's my main goal for this year. If I can get to 2,000 subs, awesome. But yeah, other than that, I'm also on Mars channel for the 1s and 2s twice a month.
Okay, yep. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to go live tomorrow evening, chats. If I am able to go live, I will post it on I still call it Twitter, but basically on X. I will let you know if I'm able to go live, what I'm going to do. Most likely be, if I do, it'll be most likely a gaming stream. But if not, then I'm going to try my damnedest to be available Friday evening, because I really want to play. I haven't played Resident Evil 5 at all, and I'll be playing a co-op with Cowman, so I'm going to try my damnedest to do the gaming stream I was supposed to do last Friday, but had to postpone, where I'll be playing Resident Evil 5 for the first time, and hopefully the mod I downloaded of Shiva's tribal outfit actually comes through. Hopefully it worked, because I've never used the mod manager it wanted me to use to get the outfit, and supposedly it should have been installed into Resident Evil 5, but since I didn't play it, I couldn't tell you if it has or not. So I'll be playing, hopefully, Resident Evil 5 Friday evening, and then Saturday probably watching, since it looks like Steph is going to make me watch the live-action Snow White, but I'm not going to watch it in theaters. I'm going to wait till Jack Sparrow gives me a special copy.
Yep.
Well, depending on when that's available, is when I'll either be watching that Friday or Saturday. So I have no idea when that's going to be available. But Saturday evening, regardless, I'm going to try doing a gaming stream. I didn't install yet, but I got the first 2 Max Payne games, and I broke down because it was on sale, and just to add it to my Steam library, The Witcher 3. So maybe one of those games Saturday evening. We'll see. So we'll see about Saturday, and then Sunday, Talk Nerdy to Us will be on my Nerdy Homes channel at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So on that, ladies and gentlemen, have a good rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all, if not tomorrow, then definitely Friday evening. So take care, stay safe, and peace.
Stay humble.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.